fire's gonna fall on us. Oh, the fire's gonna fall. Every heart will know the love of God.
So now my name is Christopher Harrison, and I'm a rebel Anglican, otherwise called a Methodist. Okay, so I'm amongst you as one whose mama is the Anglican Church, but whose soul is in the Wesleyan movement. And grateful for you to sharing in this moment. Okay, so that's me. I'm married to Lee. I've only been married for 37 years. Got another 34 to go before she can murder me. So got a great celebration of life with Lee together. And we have 2 young adult daughters, soon to be married, both of them, and grateful to God for that. So that's enough about me. My connection with MyChurchIT is the connection through what was originally called the MyAnglican. And then we have broadened this to a whole bunch of different denominations. And we're grateful to come back to the mama of the MyChurchIT, which is in the space that has with Bishop Luke. So I'm going to ask Bishop Luke to come and say a few words. The point is that under the MyAnglican, the MyAnglican began under the Anglican banner of church media, My Church Media. And that evolved into MyAnglican websites and so on, and then we formed MyChurchIT out of that. So, Luke, would you say a few words, please? Okay. Bishop Luke.
Thanks, Christopher. Welcome, everybody. Just to say that I've had the honor and the privilege of being part of MyAnglican from the very beginning. When Michael Kuhn started it, he was a very good friend of mine. And we spent many hours chatting in his living room about what could be. And in those days, everyone thought that to have a website was the be-all and the end-all of technology. But Michael glimpsed the future, and he realized that websites are great, but there's a whole lot more that must happen. And in those heady days, he preached and preached and preached, and not many believed him. And he's been proved right. And here we are, where websites are still important, but somehow a church management system is more important. So without stealing Christopher's thunder, this is a homegrown African product, which I'm convinced is a world beater. And we're going to need you guys to help us take it out into your respective denominations and parishes and even elsewhere, Pentecostal charismatic churches, and to take it further around the world. This really is a good product. So I'm interested to hear what you have to say. Christopher, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Bishop Luke. We're going to share this kind of workshop with a number of people, because I have a number of the team right here with us. But I would like to start by saying that when we think of MyChurchIT, we need to be aware that theologically and technically speaking, Moses was the first person with a tablet downloading data from the cloud. Okay? So we need to be very clear that God created microtechnology billions of years ago. And when we think we're so smart because we've got smartphones, God is saying, well, it's about time you caught up, you know. So that's the space we're in now, and we're grateful to God for that particular thing. So we also are aware that when we think about the use of technology, this is the professor from Johannesburg, from Wits, who says, as technology invades our social and political and economic spaces, let us mobilize all role players, including religious leaders, to chart the future that brings more happiness to people. This was extract as he was saying to the church, get with the program. The fourth industrial revolution is ho-hum now. It's a given. It's here. So we don't even have to talk about the fourth industrial revolution anymore because we're in it. In fact, right now the language is about ChatGPT, rather, because technology is advancing so quickly. And so we're saying to the church, let's stop debating whether we use technology or not. Because we are. And the reality is 41 million South Africans are currently using social media. Did you hear what I just said? This is no longer a thing for just young people. Young people are us. We are using technology, and we need to leverage that space because God has given it to us. All right? So what we've said is in Ezekiel 34, God chastised shepherds by saying, you're not doing a good job. Okay? These shepherds had been self-indulgent, coveting the riches of the flock, giving no heed to the needs of the flock, and under scrutiny. The result is sheep left vulnerable to the wild animals of imperial threat. But Jesus says in John 10, I am the good shepherd. Listen to this. I know my sheep, and my sheep know me. And this tool has been created so that pastors, priests, ministers, duminis, murutis, mfundisis can know who their sheep are, can access the data of that particular person and their family links wherever they are, because they can access it through their smartphone, through their tablet or whatever else. And so you know your people by name. Okay? Now, I was very grateful to be at a congregation called Westview, and I brought Leanne into the team. And Leanne is the system architect of this system right now. And I asked Leanne to create for us a database that we could use using computers at the time. This has evolved with Leanne's assistance and help and permission to be an online platform, not just on a laptop, but available through the internet. And so through Leanne's genius, and I mean that, we have transitioned this adequately further down the line, building on what Michael did before he died. And so we're grateful for that. But it helps you to systematically know who your people are and to pray over them. Who are your people? You can just go through the thing and just pray over your people. There's photographs in the system. You can see their faces and recognize who they are. You can see who the mother is and the father is and the children are and where they live and so on. It makes pastoral work so much more accessible because you can do it from your smartphone. Okay? And it means that even when you visit, you can make footnotes in the personal portal, visited on such and such a date, went to the ICU and visited this person, and so on. So you can keep it as a tool for recording your own pastoral work. And so Jesus says, I laid my life down for the sheep. This is you as pastors saying, I'm going to take some of my precious work time and use it for engaging with systems that help me to be more effective. And systems are not just simply there to make a nice database so that you can produce a report at the end of the day to say, I've got so many people and so many people worshipped. It's so much more than that. It's a tool for you to connect with your people where they are. Now, you can also then just see, when you pray through the list, who's a person, I haven't seen this person in church for a while. Make a note of it in your prayer time, and then phone that person. Okay? And the database gives you information so that you know where to phone them and where they live, etc., etc. And keeping the data current in the system means you can be an effective shepherd. So that's the point I'm wanting to try and make in this particular thing. When there are sheep that are not sheep of this pen, you go and find them, and then you put them in as new members in the system. And when you put them in, they get an email to say they've been put in the system, and they know that they're in the system. And so you begin a relationship with that person, because this is a dynamic system that connects you with your people and the people with you. Quick story here. The pandemic hit, and one of my colleagues, a Methodist minister, his name is James Nicholson. He and I were at university together, the best university in South Africa, Rhodes University. Okay, so I did my master's through the University of Pretoria, so I have my feet in both camps. But James was positioned in a church called St. Mark's in Cape Town. The pandemic hit. He had been using the My Methodist, the equivalent version of the My Anglican, for a while, and we'd helped him to get going. The moment the pandemic was announced, he and his wife, Linda, was a personal good friend of my wife's. They went to school together. They sat down and said, how are we going to leverage this? They sat with the My Methodist, and they systematically used the My Methodist to email everybody every day with devotions. They emailed groups of people alphabetically, and they prayed through the entire congregation. A to C's, come to an online prayer meeting at such and such a time. They had more people attending their prayer meetings than ever, and that has continued today. He put people into small groups so that they could keep, but he used the My Methodist to put them in suburbs. They were close to each other. So if somebody was struggling with food, can somebody in that area give food to that particular area? You with me? He leveraged the My Methodist daily through the entire pandemic. Send them devotional material. Send them Bible study material. Send them information about the services on a Sunday. He leveraged the My Methodist. Listen to this. They had more people attending prayer meetings and worship services and small groups, online small groups, than ever in the history of their church, and their income went up by 25%. Because if you care for your people, and you know them by name, and you engage with them, and you help them to follow Jesus, you nurture their Christ following, what do? They respond. But if you neglect your sheep, Ezekiel 34, God is saying, I corner winner. Somebody else is going to do this. And I'll get another shepherd to look after these sheep. So this is not a threat, but I'm giving you the tools to be effective and to, during this time of recovery of the pandemic, to use the system well. Okay, so let's be very clear for what are the things that we want to just note for clergy teams. It affirms your congregation's oneness, one congregation. It helps you to know that your data is safe and secure. We use servers that are verified and backed by Microsoft, which means that we are able to say that our data is safe and secure as humanly possible. Okay? If the demonic forces come in and do something else, I can't control that. But I do know that as humanly possible, we have the safest protection of the data we've got. It means you have access to this immediately wherever you are at any moment in time. It gives you communication. You can be sitting at the airport in Cape Town and sitting in the waiting room, and you can send an email to your entire congregation or your leaders or to small groups, wherever you are. You with me? Creatively use your time while you are waiting to communicate, to be able to engage with your people. It's affordable. If you plan to get systems that you download and get from America, I guarantee that they are very expensive. And with the rand-dollar exchange right now, you just can begin to think about what it costs. When I was at Bryanston Methodist, we had 3,500 people on our database. We used Anatomy. It cost us about 2,500 rand a month. So when we look at this, we're making it very affordable. Okay? So I, as a director, do not get paid as a director for this. We serve as a committee, as volunteers. Okay? The team that we employ do the work, and licensees get paid for what they do. But we are here as a non-profit company to serve you, and that's why it's affordable. Okay? And it is highly confidential. So let's talk a little bit about the benefits to the member itself, the individual member. It's easy to use. Every single individual gets their own profile. How's that? So you have your own profile, you log in with your email address, you give yourself your own password, and it's your information. You can change it whenever you want to. So ladies, if you have a facelift, you can change your year of birth on the system all by yourself. Okay? I'm kidding. None of you needs a facelift, and none of you need to change your year of birth. Okay? But I'm just saying the data is yours, and you can see it, you can have access to it, because Poppy requires that. Each person has control of the data, and if you unsubscribe from something, that's in your fingers and hands to do. And you can see the involvement, which group you belong to, which worship service you are participating in, when are you reading the scriptures, when are you a person helping with a sacrament. All of those things can be a conversation through the system which communicates. Now, Bishop Luke has a whole diocese that's using the system, and many of them are rural. What would you say proportionately is rural in your diocese? 60 to 70%. But all you need is one person per parish who's technologically informed and has a smartphone and has data, and you can manage the system from there. So don't tell me, oh, we're all old people. No, just find one old person over the age of 21, and they'll be able to help you. Okay, those under the age of 21 think everybody's old. Am I right? Okay. So when you get anybody who is willing to use their smartphone, they can register on the system, they can be given access to their parish, and they can manage the entire parish, worship attendance, all those kind of things for your that extrapolates into graphs, etc. But it's mobilizing any local church anywhere, okay, for the work of God. And then I want to talk, and I turned it on off, right? Let's get back here. So in terms of member, when you care for your members, you'll be able to see this is my profile over here. But if you look in your congregation or your parish, you'll see the list of birthdays. Quick story. There was once a congregation that was really struggling, and their numbers were going down, and they thought, what do we do? The local minister thought, I'm going to do something that I've never done before. And so he got, by phoning his parish members, to find out their wedding anniversary dates. And he put them into the system. Okay? He then phoned the people. Let's say Luke's wedding anniversary is coming up on next Tuesday. Phone Luke and say, Luke, I said it's your wedding anniversary coming up. Why don't you come to worship on Sunday with your spouse, and we all pray for you? He did that Sunday after Sunday after Sunday, just phoning people. Who doesn't want their marriage to be prayed for? Anybody here? Everybody wants their marriage to be prayed for, right? And when you bless folk, called them to the rail, anointed them with oil, prayed for them, gave them communion, made them feel special and loved, and said, right, now go and love each other as Christ loved the church. Off you go. And they come back Sunday after Sunday. They trebled the size of their worshiping attendance because they paid attention to people. And the key ports of entry are birthdays, wedding anniversaries, and remembering their loved ones who've died. You with me? Leverage a system and its data for ministry, not just for nice information, okay? And you can then see occupations. So one of the stories I love to tell is Jean Carlos Ortez had a bunch of people in his congregation who were unemployed. Now, you know that 45% of our country are struggling with unemployment right now, right? So how do we leverage this in our congregation? In the system, you can find out whose people's occupations are, okay? And then if the people say they're unemployed, you then invite those unemployed people. You send them an email to say, if you're unemployed, come to the service on Sunday. What Jean Carlos Ortez did was this. Watch. He said, right, all of the people who are unemployed, come and stand here. They all stood in the front. He said to the congregation, watch me. Sir, what do you do? I'm a plumber. Okay? You're a registered plumber? Yes. Anybody here need plumbing work? Right. All of you, go and meet him over there. Off you go. What do you do, sir? I tune pianos. Anybody here need a piano tuned? Right. Mr. Piano Tuner, go and stand over there. Everybody need a piano tune? Go and talk to him. By the end of the service, he had been through every single person. No one was unemployed by the end of the service. You with me? Now, I know that you may want to say, that's not going to work in my thing, but try it. Try it. Because it's a way of dignifying people's humanity. Because the opposite of poverty is not wealth. The opposite of poverty is dignity. You get it? Offer people the dignity of work and create a way in which you help them to be employable and employed. You can leverage the tool for that. Okay? And then you can see contact details, etc., etc. Let me move on. Now, communication. You can communicate through bulk emails right now. We are working at the moment on bulk communication through WhatsApp and other things as well. That's coming. Leanne is working on that. You can still send a WhatsApp message to an individual through the system. You can do that already to an individual. But the bulk emails work very well. For instance, if you set up a worship service, let's say Zikhamai over here, he's the priest in Harare, and he wants to set up a worship service. He puts this order of service into the system. He then presses a little button that says email, and it sends an email to all the people who are participating in that service on the Sunday. And it sends them a printout of the order of service and when they are taking part. You are reading this Bible passage at that time in the service. You with me? So it's a way of communicating with your people to make them feel included and involved and participating. And the more people who are involved and participate, the more of the mission of God will be fulfilled. Okay, so we've worked hard on the bulk email thing. We'll keep working hard on it. But you need to be aware that we cannot use Gmails and Yahoo and all those kind of things for sending. We need legitimate addresses because those have been blocked through the bulk mailing system. But we can help you with that space as well. All right. So you can set up your worship services, and this is what I mean by that. And you can set up your teams for social media, welcome team, the tea afterwards team, the readers, the prayers, the ministry team, the healing team, whatever is around a service. And you can communicate with those individual groups through that as well. Okay. Your worship roster, mentioned it to you. You plan quarterly in advance. You You can put all your, who's going to be preaching, when and how, and who's participating in the service, who's the liturgist, who are the readers, who's giving testimony, all that kind of stuff. You can plan in advance. And each of these can see that in their personal profile. If you've created the order of service, they'll see that they're on duty through their personal profile. All right. Congregational groups. You can set up a number of groups. Let's say you've got, let me give an illustration. When I was at Westview, we had 128 small groups. And you put people into those groups, and you give access to the leader of that group just to see the information of the people in that group. They can't see everything else. They just see the information of their group members and communicate with them. So you can create up to 999 groups in your church. Okay. And when you get to 999, let us know. We'll increase the limit. Okay. We want you to grow. That's the purpose. Okay. All right. So then this extrapolates into lovely statistics. Now, I know that when you look at your statistics, you'll say, wow, isn't this impressive? There are not many people in their 90s here, but look at how many teenagers in this church. Isn't that exciting? Well, do you have sufficient leaders and mobilized people to reach those young people? If your priest is 95 in the shade without VAT, he's pretty much not relevant to teenagers. So how are you going to reach teenagers? You need to have young adult leaders, people who resonate with young people. And if you're only ever employing those who are over the age of 95 in the shade without VAT, you are never going to attract young people. So this helps you to think strategically about your invitations, your staffing, your recruiting of people, and empowering of others. Okay? There's also a finance portal. Okay? This has been used mostly by people to manage their pledges. It was put together so that folk can know how much money is coming in and who's giving what. Okay. The financial system uses a simple terminology, money in, money out. And if you want to use this, it's probably there, but we would recommend that you explore things like QuickBooks or Pastel or Xero or something like that for greater management, money management. But we've done our best to try and service those who can't afford that. All right? The functionality. So each person has a personal portal, right? You then have a parish portal, and that's managed by your parish administrators. Only we give permission to them so that they can then manage the whole parish portal, okay? Then the next one is the archdeaconry, and the archdeacon then can see all the parishes and chapelries within that archdeaconry and be able to engage with them as the archdeacon, all right? Then there's the diocese portal, which the bishops have oversight over. And they get an umbrella view of the things that are going on. They don't get into the details and the specifics and all that kind of stuff. It's an overview of what's happening within the diocese. Worship attendance statistics, and graphs, and so on, to be able to see trends. Now, I remember Bishop Tembo Tambo, the late bishop from Limpopo. He used the My Methodist frequently because when he wanted to go and preach in a congregation in the Limpopo area, he would go to the local society in Methodist terminology, and he would see what is the dominant language in that group. And if he arrived and he was preparing a service in Sotho, but most of the people were Tswana, you with me? And he used to use the system to say, what's the dominant language in this congregation? They're mostly Tswana. I will preach in Tswana. You with me? It helped him to know in his preparation what that was. And so the bishop is informed by using this as a tool for effective work. Then, of course, there is the organization portals. That's for your women's, youth, and children's work and all that kind of stuff. Then there's a provincial portal, and then other portals like children's events and children's portal and events. Now, you have a program called Safe Church, right? Okay. We have created in the personal portal a place where people who work with children, you can put a yes. Do they have police clearance? Yes or no? And if they have no, they can't work with children. But if they're saying yes, they need to have a date of the expiry of their police clearance certificate. Okay? So I have a friend, Haley, who does work in the area of police clearance certificates. So I go to her every 2nd of January every year, and I get my police clearance certificate done every year. Why? Because I don't know when I'm going to work with children, but I do work with children. I need a police clearance certificate. And everybody who's a leader in the church should have a police clearance certificate. The system allows you as priests to know who and who does not have a police clearance certificate. Okay? There is some other thing added to child protection, you call it? Yes. But in the Anglican, you need clearance, and then it's the, yeah, 4. We need to be able to look and see, is there a way in which we can help the Anglican churches to know that all 4 are complied with? So I just raised that as an intriguing one. Okay. So we have created the system and continue to help have the system updated to keep you in line with the law. Not only with POPI, that it makes you POPI compliant, this does 100%, but also child protection and so on. Okay? All right. Now, Anglican Church, the province of Southern Africa. This is what you look like. Okay? How has this worked? In terms of the allocation, you will see that the Diocese of Johannesburg, anybody here from the Diocese of Johannesburg? Give yourselves a round of applause. You've done exceptionally well, okay? Okay? Bishop Steve has been very helpful. He's a co-director with the MyChurchIT, and they have done very well, okay? Then the Diocese of False Bay have done very well. The Diocese of Pretoria done exceptionally well, and then, ta-da, Diocese of St. Mark the Evangelist, Bishop Luke. See how well they've done. Okay. Now the challenge comes for us is that, and George, okay? Peter's here. Wave your hand, Pete. Pete has oversight over the St. George area in terms of this. Saldanha Bay is there, Natal, and we've worked hard with them. Highveld, Port Elizabeth, and you can see we have a lot of work to do to bring others along. So let's just do a question here. Who's from the Diocese of Pretoria here? St. Mark the Evangelist? There you are. All right. Cape Town? Cape Town? Quite a bit of work. George? Saldanha Bay? Natal? Highveld? Port Elizabeth? Christ the King? Must be someone from Christ the King. Okay, Grahamstown? Okay, so you can see, these are the areas that we have lots of opportunity to grow in. Okay? And Zikamai is from Zimbabwe. And the Anglican Church there is increasingly coming to accept and use and grow. But that's a completely different province. It's the Church of the Province of Central Africa. And so Zikamai has a huge job because that covers Botswana, Zambia, Malawi, and Zimbabwe. Yeah. Okay. So you can just see we've got great opportunities there. All right. Each of the profiles give you a statistical overview automatically generated for you. These are the good-looking guys, eh? Hey? All right, Sibusiso Zungu was the administrator of the Johannesburg Diocese. He now runs his own IT company and does a lot of work with UNISA and so on. So those are the 3 directors, okay? Now you're going to ask the question about costs. In terms of the costs, we have said for those churches under 10 members, it's free. We do invite you to use the system. But then we've said we've scaled it according to the number of people that are active in the system. We don't count dead people as active members in the system. Okay? We don't count people who've left the church or whatever else. Okay? Just those who are members of the church. And that is how we work out the cost factor. Why? Because we want you to grow. And essentially, you'll see basically it's about 1 rand per member per month. That's it. Okay? But as you grow, it becomes less and less. And if you have over 1,000 people in your congregation, that's 50 cents per member per month. You can see how affordable that is. Okay. That's all I really wanted to share with you. But to just ask Francis to come and talk a little bit about these aspects, if you would do that. This is Francis.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Francis Thor. I'm from the Diocese of St. Mark. evangelist, and yeah, we dominant. So basically now, the other aspect of the MyChurchIT is the website. So in this day and age, a website is a must for a church because the system is powerful, yes, but when you send bulk emails and when you do bulk communications, that's for people within the congregation, people who are registered in the system. But then how do you now cater for those who are not part of the church yet, people who just go to Google? So nowadays when you want to buy pizza, you just go to Google and say, pizza near me, right? So let's say someone is visiting or has moved to this side in Joburg, and they say, Anglican church near me. So if your church is not on the internet, if your church doesn't have a website, then they won't be able to find an Anglican church around. So therefore, a website is essential because if your church or your organization has a website, then when people search on Google, you are found easily. And then also, in terms of communication also for the church, you can put your social media links there. You can put documents, pew leaflets, videos, anything you can think of that is relevant to communicating. So therefore, a website now works as a central place for communication within the church, targeting your church, your area, and also the global church as a whole. So yeah, that's with websites, and we make them really beautiful. You can see that's beautiful, and also you can get to show the world who you are as a church. So yeah, people get to bond with you. Nowadays, when you want to buy something, you look for pictures on the internet. So if you are hosting events, if you're a Vibe church, then it can be seen also on the website. So that will be an external window for the external world, and also a central place for communication within your church. Yeah. How do we get to My Anglican? So on your phone or on your laptop, you open your browser, Chrome, Edge, Firefox, but then we prefer Chrome. Just go to Chrome, and then in the address tab there is My Anglican. So you just type in myanglican.org. So if your phone, I've seen with most people, their phones do this auto-spacing thing. You can just type My Anglican with the space, it's fine. The first website that comes up, you see the power of websites. The first website that comes up, that's My Anglican. You click it, and then voila, you're in the system. You're using technology. So for those of you who have not registered yet, I see that most of the dioceses here are in the system already. So, but then you might find that you don't have a personal portal. So should we do the practical now, or? No. Okay, cool.
So these are the
Yeah.
websites that Francis is talking about. Okay. So I don't know if you realize this good-looking guy up here. That's him over there. Okay. Then Megan, she's the most beautiful of the lot here. She's in Namibia, and there are many churches, and she services the churches. This is Peter over here. Pete, wave your hand. There we are. Okay, and his wife Gwendolyn. And it services the area. This is me temporarily. I've put down here for now, because as we develop these areas, I'm going to be here finding other people to take this over. And then you know Tsepo Matuba, he's the minister in this diocese. He's helping us in that space as well. Okay. I want to end. Oh, there he is. Shush, I lost you for a moment. I've been overlooking you. There he is. Okay. Hidden by Bishop Luke for the moment. Sorry, I thought I saw you earlier. There we go. Now, I want to open time for questions and for engagements, but you start by doing what's necessary. Then do what is possible. And suddenly, you are doing say it with me, impossible. Okay. St. Francis of Assisi. He said that. So you can quote him as often as you want to. So what's the starting point? Register yourself on the My Anglican. Go to your parish leadership and wardens and encourage them to register them personally themselves, but get them into the system. And you can go to any one of these particular licensees, and they will help you to get access as a parish, because they will just check out if you're legitimate, you're a warden, or you're a parish priest, or you're a leader within that organization before they give you access. Okay? So that's the next thing that you need to do, is to not only just start with getting yourself in, but mobilizing your parish and your archdeaconry. Okay? And then you will look back in a year's time and say, wow, we thought it was impossible. But you remember what Nelson Mandela said? Everything is impossible until it's done. Okay? Everything is impossible until it's done. Okay, time for questions. Any questions you got? Ask.